What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I'm going to talk about Lucid's recent recall, what it was about, whether it's actually a cause for alarm, and what that actually means for us as investors. But before getting to any of that, all I ask, smash a thumbs up, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, let's get right to it. So I'm sure a lot of us are aware there was a safety recall that did come out that clearly outlines the actual issue and what they are going to be doing about that. I'm just going to bring this up because there's a lot of bears taking this information and running for several different reasons. One of which, this actually makes Lucid a real company, not necessarily just like a godlike company that is just coming into the scene and taking down every company, because right now we do have a very good product and a lot of other companies are definitely worried about that. So this does obviously make Lucid a human-like company, and it is good to have a safety recall under our belt for the first one, especially with it being a very minor one in my opinion. So I'm going to go through all of that. So looking at the top, ultimately the recall was over this, the strut damper. So in case you do not know, which I did not know, strut damper is this. So ultimately it does look like it is technically for hydraulics and suspensions. So going back to their letter, it does say that this condition may result in sudden loss of ground clearance, vehicle vibration, and front brake line damage, increasing the risk of crash. And so ultimately in the actual letter, it does clarify, and it says about the snap ring. And so a snap ring is technically this small little piece right here, meant to prevent any lateral movement of components like bearings. So when it comes down to this is all come pre-assembled to Lucid. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Lucid didn't necessarily make this error. It was part of the supplies provided to Lucid. So at the end of the day, Lucid, I personally feel, is handling this very professionally. They're handling the issue, and technically at the end of the day, it is actually the supplier that provided the incorrect issue. And going back to the letter again, it does look like this snap ring was installed incorrectly in the wrong orientation. So that is ultimately the issue. So now that you understand that, like I said, bears are taking this information and taking it for a run, causing a lot of FUD. And one thing as well, I just want to bring up, another reason that a lot of people are causing some issues and more so bringing it up is because looking at this. So Lucid Group is gearing up to recall 203 Air EVs over a defect that affects just 1% of the recalled cars. So keep in mind, they are recalling 203. Us as investors, we do not know any actual numbers as far as deliveries or production. So when we are actually faced with any number such as 203, a lot of people are grasping at straws. Now it's drawn to the conclusion that is only 203 actually delivered. Why only 203? So that is something to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, taking a step back, especially more so about this recall, it is just 1%. So give or take 2, possibly 3 vehicles are actually the only issue in this grand scheme of things. So I personally do see this as a very small recall. So this is why I'm saying that it's a good thing that technically it happened, especially in the small circumstances, and only to roughly about 2 or 3. So this is a very positive thing to take away from this. But like I said, a lot of people, more specifically bears, are focusing on this 203. So ultimately we will just have to wait until their upcoming earnings, which is on February the 28th, to see exactly how many vehicles were actually produced in 2021. So again, tying back to that 203, this is one thing that's causing a little bit more issue per se. But like I said, this is a very short-term issue, and I actually do feel that Lucid is handling this whole recall very professionally. So that is something to take away. So it does go on to say what actions will Lucid take. So they are going to be completing an inspection of both front dampers and, if necessary, replace them, which obviously will be at no charge to the customer. And it'll say that it's going to take roughly about 1 hour. So that's something to keep in mind. But again, if you take a step back, this kind of recall happens a lot, especially considering there's Toyota. Toyota, technically, out of all the manufacturers out there, they have the most recalls. And look at Toyota. They have a very renowned actual company. Everyone thinks very highly of Toyota. So at the end of the day, recalls don't make that big of a difference, especially considering if there was actually no damage. They are attempting to fix it well before anything. And like I said, if you do take a further step back, Lucid is doing everything right considering they did nothing wrong. So that's something as well to keep in mind. So it does say what are your next steps to contact obviously the service center and so forth. So this is ultimately what a lot of people are starting to talk about. And like I said, I just wanted to provide a little bit more clarification and how this isn't that big of a deal, especially coming from an investor standpoint. I do strongly feel that it was also a good opportunity for this to come out during a very much red day. Because if there was a very much green day in the market and this news was to come out, it would have killed all the momentum. So it's better to have these kind of news come out on a very much red day. And obviously we already know there is a lot of fear out in the market, more specifically right now, Russia tensions. And there is also a lingering fear about inflation and interest rate hikes and a lot of different things. It is a very interesting time in the market. Just want to show you the live ticker to my left. Currently it is down 2.4%, 8 million shares being traded today. So it is going to be a relatively heavily traded day today, considering it's only 1 hour into the trading day. The average is 53. And so I just want to show you block volume. So 656,000 shares being purchased by institutions within the first 1 hour of trading. They are taking advantage of these cheap prices because it won't last this much longer, in my opinion as well. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor, do your own due diligence, but given all the circumstances, I don't think that there's any merit at all in regards to this recall to sell Lucid whatsoever. If anything, it provided us with a greater buying opportunity at a cheap price. Like I said, especially if you do have a long-term time horizon, these are going to be steals of a deal as of right now, given the prices. And obviously there most likely will be several other recalls in Lucid's future. And it's one of those things that all depends on how Lucid actually handles these recalls. And like I said, I do, given all the circumstances, think that Lucid did handle this very well. So at the end of the day, let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below, especially about these recalls. Let me know. If you haven't already, smash a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With all of that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.